evening. It is Tuesday, October 26th at 7:01 p.m. This is a meeting of the advisory committee, and we have a pretty light agenda. First, we're going to meet with the library trustees and our DPW director just to get everybody up to speed on the maintenance and repair needs at the library. And then after we kind of wrap up that discussion, we'll talk about a general schedule for our meetings for the busy budget review cycle, which is coming up sooner than we realized. And then finally, we'll just go through some sets of meeting minutes and get those approved. Before, though, we launch into the discussion of the library, because we have our DPW director here, I did get permission from our town administrator to share some good news with everybody. The advisory committee, I think, is aware that Randy Haglin led an effort to apply for a MassWorks grant for the traffic work at 117 near the school. And we were awarded $938,000 to carry out that work under Randy's leadership. So big congratulations to him. And
so what is that? What does that do? Is it?
So I know that the selectmen are going to decide or have decided whether it's going to be a light or a rotary. I don't know what it was, but it's basically the traffic safety improvements at that intersection.
The school intersection?
Yeah, Green Road, Forbush Mill 117.
Yes. Okay, great. That would be fantastic.
I believe it was a rotary.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. It's a horrible intersection.
Yeah, the Board of Selectmen voted to support a rotary at that intersection. And I just want to say thank you, Brian. But like anything that we do in town government, it's a team effort. And I don't want to take all the credit. It's, again, a team effort. There was a lot of input from the Board of Selectmen, yourself and others on this whole project. And the Public Way Safety Committee, I think, was valuable in the application process as well. So it's a team effort to move the town forward.
All right. Well, thank you.
Amount of the grant, please.
$938,000.
Thank you.
So I don't know if Bob wants to begin or Randy, but I know Randy had sent out a brief summary, which I can share on the screen. But I don't know, Bob, do you want to just kind of set up the discussion for everyone?
Sure. So, I mean, I don't want to steal Randy's thunder or his document with the pictures, but I mean, we've run into an issue with the library plumbing downstairs, which falls outside of our normal budgetary process, unfortunately, to fix. And we've been operating now without one of the two bathrooms downstairs for some time. And obviously, we're very interested in getting that fixed. So tonight you'll hear about the work that primarily Randy has done, although we've been doing some homework, and we can outline that. And our efforts to basically move this project along as quickly as we can, subject to funding issues, which is why we're here.
Okay, great. Randy, do you want me to share my screen with that document?
Yes, if you could, please. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Sorry to be so graphic with the pictures. In preparation of this, Zoom meeting tonight, I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on how we got to where we are today. It's obviously a problem at the library. It's a sewer issue. Library was constructed and opened in around 2009. We're struggling because there were no as-built plans done for the building, and then very few O&M manuals. And typically with the O&M manuals or as-built, you have better ideas where pipes are, where things are located, where elevations are. So we didn't have any of that. It's my understanding that it's been a recurring issue. The waste line between the ladies' room and the men's room on the main floor of the library has been clogging for several years. And in recent history, it's been clogging about every 6 months, 6 to 9 months or so, maybe a year. I think this last time was about a year because the building was essentially closed with COVID. whenever it blocked up, we'd get a call from the library staff, and we would bring in a plumber who would rod the line and flush the line out to get it flowing again. And then we'd have to do some extensive decontamination. You can see from the pictures, the minute you take the cover off the floor cap, the sewer line was essentially under a little bit of pressure, and it would just make a mess on the whole floor. And I think Kelly can attest to how messy it was. And you know, I think even in the past, they used some bleach to disinfect the floor after the fact, and, you know, track bleach onto the carpet, which resulted in replacement of a section of the carpet. So it's been a recurring problem, again, in the building. On 12/23 was our last major blockage. And when I learned that, and that was about a month or so after I arrived in town, and when I learned that this is a recurring problem, and seeing what the staff had to uncover, the hazardous waste, essentially the biological hazardous materials that the town had to deal with, the town staff, who, by the way, is any wastewater employee is typically vaccinated against hepatitis. None of our employees are. So it becomes a health issue. It's a worker safety issue to have to clean up a mess like this. It was of such an occurrence that the department actually has a wet and dry vacuum labeled library sewer backup only. So we have a special vacuum that we would utilize to pick up the mess in the ladies' room. After the backup in December, and realizing that the library was still closed, I recommended that the ladies' room be closed, no longer be used, and that the men's room be converted into a unisex restroom. And the library staff graciously and creatively, I have to add, created some signage there to indicate when the room was being occupied. In an effort to better understand what was happening under the floor of the library, and again, this is under the floor of the library. We had March 11th, we had the line inspected. That line inspection showed that there's a flat section identified between the men's room and the ladies' room, which is obviously the cause for the main blockage between those two rooms. On May 20th, 2021, we had a second company come in and do some more extensive videotaping of the sewer line under the building. And that sewer video inspection included what's called an inclinometer, and it also had the ability to measure depth of pipe, which was very helpful. This confirmed that there was a flat, or actually upward slope pipe between the ladies' room and the men's room. And obviously water and wastewater does not flow uphill. So that was the genesis for that blockage there. But the video inspection also ironically showed a significant sag located under the technology closet in the director's office. From the pictures, on the first one, you can see this is the pipe under the vestibule. The camera, it doesn't show real well. It shows a little bit better with the actual video. You can actually see the camera pushing water as it's going through the pipe. So that's indicative of the flatness of that pipe and actually going uphill. The second and third picture that you see on the screen is the section under the tech closet in the area, and also the area of the director's office. The first one shows just the beginning of the sag in the pipe there. You can see the level of the water. You can see the roundness of the pipe. And as the camera proceeded down the pipe, you can see the first one, it says 65 feet and 11 inches. That's the number of feet from the beginning. And further out at 67 feet, you can see the camera is actually about 3/4 submerged in the pipe. So that's just water that's just standing there. We think that the only reason that did not have a regular blockage there is because that blockage is downstream of the restrooms from the second floor. So the velocity of the water coming down from the second floor pushed that water along and through this, the sag in the pipe to keep it clean and running. In July, shortly after the beginning of the fiscal year, when the new budget was reset, we signed an agreement with the firm of Garcia, Galuska, and D'Souza They were the original mechanical designers of the library. They designed the plumbing, they designed the interior plumbing, all of the water and wastewater lines within the building. Contacted them shortly after the blockage in December and talked to Chris Garcia there and asked if he could assist us with this problem. And they actually gave us, I thought, a pretty decent cost contract-wise to look at this problem and to come up with a solution, and then also come up with a design and technical specs for resolving this problem. How to repair this problem is going to be a kind of a messy project. It involves replacement of the sewer line, which is located under the slab or under the floor. So that's going to basically involve saw cutting the existing floor. Well, first of all, remove the carpet between the ladies' room and the men's room, and also remove all the tile in the men's room. Saw cut the floor, excavate the material under the floor to a proper grade, relay the sewer line, and ultimately transition that sewer line outside of the building to the rear of the building. Their plan is to install a sewer line outside the building, parallel to the back of the building. That avoids having to dig up the whole floor in the library, which would be basically all along the back wall to address the area under the tech closet and the director's office. Doing that would be a huge disruption to the building. Number one, all the technical equipment would all have to be moved out of that closet. It would be a major undertaking to do that. Add a significant expense, I think, too. So the plan is, like I said, to run a parallel line to the building, and basically run all of the interior plumbing outside and have it connect to a new line outside of the building. So all of the waste lines from inside the building will be diverted to the new line at the rear of the building. And any section of pipe that we do not remove through this process, any of the old pipe will be abandoned in place. There'll be places where it'll be capped, but basically abandoned in place. So we don't want to be digging up any more of the floor than we actually have to. The engineer's probable cost to do this work is just shy of $80,000, and this estimate is a couple months old now. So we're projecting that the expected total cost is going to be between $80,000 and $100,000, as determined when we actually construct this repair. I did come up with a kind of a guideline to give us all an idea of how things occur. As I mentioned, GDD has done the technical plans and specifications, or at least 99%. I think there's a few minor comments that they need to address, but nothing of significance. I think they've got the basis of design down, and everything is pretty much there. We will take that technical boilerplate and incorporate it into the town's boilerplate specs. So we'll incorporate those technical specifications into the boilerplate, and that, to make sure that all of the front end stuff is correct. I'm estimating about a 2-month work effort, just basically because of other things going on as well. Finding the time to pull it all together. There are things within that front end boilerplate that do need to be addressed that were not addressed by the consultant. And one of them is what are the requirements of the construction, dust control, clean up after the fact, restoration, things of that nature. We're also having discussion with the trustees about coming up with tile and carpet to replace what's in the vestibule. That's I think going to be a huge component of this. I think Kelly was able to procure a source for the tile. It is a special order, so it was a little bit of a lead time. Concerns me a little bit of anything with a lead time now. I mean, normal items, normal off-the-shelf items have a significant lead time just because of the way the supply chain is going now. Special orders, I think, are just going to be only worse. Once those plans and specs are all put together, they're approved several times for errors. Then once we're ready, we advertise it for bid. It's out on the street for bid for a month. And at the end of the month, we have a public bid opening and the bids are received. I typically personally like to do bid opening dates fairly close to the source of the vote for funding. I typically don't like to go to a town meeting or city council or whatever with an estimated amount, because I've been burned in the past. If we go and ask for $80,000 and the bids come in at $85,000, where's that extra $5,000 come from? We don't have the authorization or the appropriation to do it. It becomes a problem. Personally, I like to go to town meeting and with a warrant article, however it's done, amend the warrant article on the floor to concur with whatever the bid is plus the contingency. I think that's a smart, a prudent way of doing it. So that's basically the Cliff Note version of how we got to where we are today. And Bob and I will entertain any questions that anybody may have.
Great, thank you so much. I can.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. Then just one more thing, just to give.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Bob.
Sorry, can you hear me, Brian? I just wanted to add one more thing on the tile.
Yep.
So we just late breaking news, the trustees met this afternoon, and based on the work that Kelly did, we actually pre-ordered that long lead time tile based on the specification that we have with the tile vendor. So so that's off of our worry list, and we're still working on the carpet issue right now, which has another set of issues with it. But our intention is to make sure that we're well off the critical path.
I can leave this document up if folks had questions about it.
Sure.
Go
I
ahead.
think I need to explain too. It's typical when you advertise a project to include the tile replacement, include the carpet within the contract, and then it becomes the contractor's responsibility to procure it and install it. I think in this case, because it's a special order tile and there's a lead time, that we pre-order and purchase that, and the contractor will only be responsible for installing the materials that we supply. That will shorten the whole time of disruption of the library. If there's a significant lead time to procure any materials, then that would just delay or prolong the project.
Did anybody have questions based on what's been said so far? Anyone from the advisory committee?
Yeah, it might be a silly question, but have we considered just making this a permanent arrangement? The unisex bathroom, we can't have that much demand for a bathroom, and we could save $100,000.
We have considered that. Basically, we looked at the design, requirements for the building and the building size, and we did not over provision bathrooms. That bathroom downstairs is the only set of bathrooms downstairs. It covers both the main library as well as the meeting room, which is sort of often the source of tens or dozens of people. And we're really, even at a time when we're not very busy because of the pandemic, we're still running into pain around the absence of the second bathroom. So it's pretty important to us for the operation of the building to have that bathroom back.
Fair enough.
This might also be a silly question, but was there ever a determination of like the original cause of this issue? Was it a design flaw?
Honestly, I think it was probably more of a original construction flaw. When they put in a slab on grade and they install the sewer waste lines within that fill material under the slab, typically it's compacted. Whether or not they did density testing or not, I don't know. Typically you try to. I think that it just the material under the floor just settled over time, creating these sags. because the pipes are basically flexible joint pipes. They're not fixed joints. There is a little bit of a give to them just by design.
And could somebody say a little bit about their hopes on timing of when funds might be authorized?
Yeah, so let me just start off by saying what our assumption has been. Our assumption has been that this would, because of the size of the request, that this would be a town meeting article and that we would align it per Randy's observation around the May town meeting. That being said, the trustees and certainly the library director, I know Kelly, for operational reasons, would really like to see it done as early as possible. In particular, it would be great if we could avoid the summer library season, as it were, hopefully post-pandemic by that time, which a 3-month project, sort of starting at the beginning of the fiscal year, runs smack in the middle of the summer. So our assumption has been, based on assumptions about funding, was the start of the summer. Our desire is as quickly as possible.
Okay. And Randy, you might know the answer to this question, and I know it looks like Pam Powell is here. She might know if you don't, but when a vote is taken at town meeting to authorize an article, are you able to basically spend against that as soon as it's authorized, or do you have to wait until July 1?
It's my understanding, and Pam, correct me if I'm wrong, for special project articles like this, you typically can spend it. It's basically an appropriation right at town meeting, and we can move forward.
That would be better.
I don't know if if it's a borrowed money, if it's borrowed money, if bond counsel gets involved, things like that are obviously outside of my purview. And that's a question better for maybe Don Lowe.
That's a good point, though.
That would be
because
the
if we
only
can-
thing is if
Yeah, if we could do it
was a
with
borrowed-
free cash, then it might be faster.
yeah, if it's borrowed money, that may delay it until bond. Typically, bond counsel reviews the warrant article ahead of time, but then when you go to sell the bond, I don't know if it's done through the bond bank or how Bolton typically does it, but I would think that there's a process there. Whether there's an anticipation note or something like that, you could do a ban, but that obviously incurs some financing as well. And for $70,000 or $80,000 or $90,000, whatever the amount's going to be, it doesn't, something like that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay, and you might not be able to speak to this tonight, but I did just want to ask the question about whether are ARPA funds on the table for this potentially? Based on it being a sewer issue?
It's not a public, I will say, I mean, my reading of, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, I think you know the rules is probably as well as anybody is, but my recollection is it's wastewater systems, meaning public water systems, public wastewater systems and treatment. Where this is primarily inside a building, I think that might be a stretch.
Okay.
But I mean, that's obviously a decision above my pay grade that,
Yep.
somebody needs to defend. It needs to be defensible, basically.
Yep. Okay, but so it's something we need to look into further, but it's not totally off the table. Okay. All right, well, this was really helpful. I'm sorry that you guys are dealing with this. The pictures worth 1,000 words, and probably
Well, that's why
10,000
I debated
smells.
whether to include it. I think that
The good news is that we're not dealing with it now. The bad news is that we're down a bathroom. So, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I debated whether to do the pictures. I think the early version of what I developed. I sent to Bob Zach without the pictures, and I said, no, I think we need to. I think pictures help in explaining the project, seeing what everybody's facing.
Yep. Oh, and yeah, you have a question. You have to. Oh, your hand was up, so you're all set. Okay. You're on mute, Anne. Go ahead.
I didn't have a question.
Okay. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, you're free to carry on with your evening. Thank you so much for the information, and the trustees for coming. And Kelly, you too. Thanks, Randy.
Okay, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay. So I did want to briefly discuss plans for our meeting schedule for really probably start kicking off really in December and January. Historically, Tuesdays have been our nights. There have been a couple years when we did Tuesday and Wednesday. Last year, I think we just did Tuesdays, right? We didn't double up.
No, I don't believe so.
I think we just stuck to Tuesdays. So would Tuesdays at 6:30 work for folks? I think we did that for a number of meetings last year.
I'm completely flexible, so
Yeah, I think 6:30 would be good.
Fine with me.
Omid, I don't know if you can just unmute
I'm good. It works for me
six-
as well.
for 6:30. Okay, great. Well, then how about that? We'll plan on having our budget review meetings beginning at 6:30 on Tuesdays. If we have to double up for some reason, we can. I know Bob had asked about in-person meeting. I do still think it would be nice for us to get together in person for like the December session where we do the run through of the budget, but just kind of, we don't really talk to any department heads. It's just us as a group. So we could space out and do that at the town hall in the selectmen's meeting room. Does that sound good to everyone?
sure.
Okay. And then last thing is we do have a couple sets of minutes to approve. So I can share my screen and we can get that done. And Bill, I don't know if you got I sent it pretty late, but
Yeah,
do you know whether, do we have a set of minutes for July 15th?
I will go and look at the recording, but based off the timing of it, that would have been Bob's turn because I'm on either side of that date, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I can check in with him when he's back from traveling. All right. So this is the meeting minutes that Bill prepared for June 29th, which was a brief meeting. So is there a motion to approve?
I make the motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay. And then I'll just do a roll call. All in favor, Anne,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and Omid.
Aye.
And I'm a yes as well. Okay, thank you. And then I'll share the August 10th. Hold on. Okay. Is there a motion to approve these minutes as submitted?
I move we approve those minutes as submitted.
Seconded.
Okay. Roll call. Anne,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Omid,
Aye.
and I'm a yes as well. Okay. So Bill, do you mind you can shoot those over to Jenny?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm not quite sure why I got confused on what was sent and what wasn't sent.
Oh, no, don't worry about it at all. I was also, my inbox was a little crazy, so
Yeah, busy
Um,
summer.
Yeah. All right, so before we adjourn, is there anything else that folks wanted to just bring up for consideration for like an agenda for our next meeting? We still don't know what our certified free cash is, so have no news on that.
A good thing we didn't hold our breath.
Okay. All right, well, thank you all for your time. Does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll move we adjourn.
Seconded.
Okay, great. Anne,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Omid,
Aye.
Bill,
I.
and I'm a yes as well. All right, thank you all for your time. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Nikki. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Stay
Okay,
sa-
thank
stay